I found out on Independence Day that my sister isn't really my sister, and my whole childhood was a lie. I always loved the 4th of July. The smell of barbecue, the sound of fireworks, the way my family gathered around the old picnic table in my parents' backyard, it felt like home. Every year, my sister Lily and I would sit on the roof of Dad's old truck, waving sparklers and talking about everything and nothing. She was my best friend. My older sister by 2 years, the one who helped me sneak out to parties, who defended me when Dad got angry, who stayed up with me after Mom's cancer scare, whispering that everything would be fine. I believed her. I always did. Until this year. The family barbecue that changed everything. This year's Independence Day was supposed to be like every other, loud, messy, full of laughter. But something felt off. Mom was quieter than usual, her smile strained. Dad kept drinking more than he normally did before dinner. And Lily, she'd flown in from Chicago with her fiancé, Eric, looked anxious, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. During dinner, we went through the usual small talk, her job, my new apartment, Mom's garden, Dad's cholesterol. Everything felt rehearsed. Then Eric said something that froze the whole table. "So, are you finally going to tell him, Lil?" Lily's fork dropped. Mom's hand twitched. Dad muttered, "Not now, Eric." I blinked. "Tell me what?" No one answered. The air felt like static. Finally, Lily stood up and said, "Let's just tell him. I can't keep pretending." Mom started crying before Lily even spoke again. "The truth comes out." "I'm not your sister," Lily said. Her voice cracked on the word not. At first, I thought it was a joke. "What do you mean?" "Of course you are." But she shook her head. "No, I'm not. I was adopted. Mom and Dad adopted me when I was a baby. You were born 2 years later." I laughed, actually laughed, because the idea was so absurd. We looked alike. Same dark hair, same freckles, same stupid dimple when we smiled. "That's not funny." Mom covered her mouth and whispered, "It's true." I remember feeling my heart drop into my stomach. Everything around me started spinning. "You're serious?" Dad nodded. "We were going to tell you both when you were older, but it never felt like the right time. And then it just became harder. You two were so close." Lily wiped her tears and whispered, "I found out when I turned 18. I tried to tell you once, but Mom begged me not to. She said it would ruin the bond." I couldn't breathe. My whole life, every memory, every family photo, every sibling fight and inside joke, suddenly felt counterfeit. Years of lies. That night, I couldn't stay for fireworks. I left, drove to the old park near the lake, and sat in my car for hours. I kept replaying moments in my head, the time Lily and I pretended to run away to California, how we used to share secrets about our crushes, how Mom would always say, "You two are inseparable, like you share the same soul." It all felt like a cruel joke now. I texted Lily that night, I didn't know what to say. She replied, "I didn't want you to find out this way. I didn't even want to come this year." But hiding it felt worse. I didn't answer. The next few days were a blur. Mom called non-stop, Dad left voicemails saying, "You're still her brother, nothing's changed." But everything had changed. I felt like I didn't know who any of them were anymore. Digging for answers. A week later, I went back to my parents' house. Not to make peace, but for answers. Mom was in the kitchen. Her eyes were red from crying. I sat down and asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" She hesitated, then said something that made my blood run cold. "We didn't want you to see her differently. She'd been through so much before she came to us. Her biological parents were addicts. She was neglected, malnourished. When we brought her home, she was barely surviving. I felt a lump form in my throat. So you lied for her? For us, Mom said. For the family. Dad joined us and admitted they'd even gone so far as to fake some of the documents when enrolling her in school. We wanted her to have a normal life. A clean start. I didn't know what to say. Part of me understood. The other part wanted to scream. The DNA test. A few nights later, Lily called. She said she was going to meet her biological mother. Apparently, her mom had reached out months ago after finding her through a DNA site. I didn't want to get involved, but curiosity got the better of me. I took a test too. I wanted to see if anything in my life was real. When the results came back, I expected reassurance. Instead, I got another gut punch. I wasn't fully related to my parents either. According to the results, I shared only 25% DNA with Dad and none with Mom. I thought there was a mistake. I called the company, but they confirmed it twice. That meant Dad wasn't my biological father. A second secret. When I confronted them again, Mom broke down instantly. I had an affair, she said through tears. It was one time. Your father and I were struggling to conceive, and I made a terrible mistake. But your father raised you as his own. You are his son in every way that matters. Dad just sat there, silent. His jaw clenched, his eyes distant. I realized in that moment that my entire family had been built on secrets. Lily wasn't my sister. I wasn't my father's son. And none of us knew the full truth until a barbecue on the 4th of July tore everything apart. The fallout. After that, things crumbled fast. Dad moved out for a while. Mom tried to apologize, but I couldn't look at her. Lily left for Chicago early, texting me that she didn't know what to say either. Independence Day used to mean freedom and family. Now, it's the anniversary of betrayal. For weeks, I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Every memory was poisoned. Eventually, Lily came back. Just the two of us, sitting in the same spot on the truck where we used to watch fireworks. She said quietly, even if we're not related by blood, you'll always be my brother. You were the only good thing I had growing up. And maybe that's true. Maybe family isn't DNA. But every time I see fireworks now, I can't help but think of that night, the explosion that tore my family apart. Epilogue. It's been 6 months since that day. Lily has started building a relationship with her biological mother, who's been sober for 5 years. Dad eventually forgave Mom, they're trying therapy. I'm still keeping my distance. But sometimes, late at night, I find myself scrolling through old photos of me and Lily, laughing under the fireworks. And for a moment, I almost forget everything. Almost. Because no matter how much I want to believe that love is thicker than blood, Independence Day will always remind me how fragile family really is. It's been 6 months since that 4th of July, the day my whole identity collapsed. I thought time would dull the shock, that the chaos would settle into something resembling normalcy. But every holiday, every family gathering, every text from Mom or Lily still feels like walking on a fault line that could split open again at any moment. Lily kept reaching out. She'd call every few weeks from Chicago, trying to sound cheerful, but I could hear the weight in her voice. I avoided most of her calls, answering only when guilt won over resentment. But then, one night, she said something that caught me off guard. I'm meeting her next weekend, Lily said. My biological mom. She wants to meet both of us. Both of us. At first, I thought she'd misspoken, that maybe she meant she wanted me to be there for emotional support. But no, she meant both of us, because apparently my biological father had contacted her too. He had seen a post Lily made on a genealogy forum about finding her biological family. Somehow, through a tangle of connections, he realized who I was, his son. I felt sick just thinking about it. Two strangers who'd shaped our lives without ever being part of them, suddenly wanting to sit down and talk like everything was normal. Still, curiosity, or maybe a desperate need for answers, made me agree. The meeting. We chose a small diner halfway between our cities, in Indiana. Neutral ground. The morning of the meeting, I barely slept. I sat in the parking lot watching families come and go, wondering if they had any secrets like ours. Lily arrived first. She looked nervous but hopeful, wearing a blue dress Mom had bought her years ago. "You ready?" she asked. "Not really," I said, and she squeezed my arm. "Me neither." Inside, we found a corner booth. Minutes later, they arrived, two people who looked like echoes of us. Her mother, Angela, was a frail woman in her mid-50s, with the same green eyes as Lily and hands that trembled when she reached for her coffee. My father, Richard, was tall, with graying hair and a calm, heavy sadness in his eyes. For a while, no one spoke. Just the sound of spoons clinking and the hum of old ceiling fans. Finally, Lily broke the silence. "I don't even know where to start." Angela smiled weakly. "Maybe with the truth. That's what we both came for, isn't it?" Lily's story. Angela went first. She explained that she was 19 when she gave birth to Lily. She'd been struggling with addiction, couch hopping, and in and out of rehab. Social services took Lily away after a series of relapses. "I thought giving her up was saving her," she whispered, tears running down her cheeks. "I didn't think I deserved to be her mother." Lily reached across the table and took her hand. "You're here now. That counts for something." I watched them, trying to understand the strange mix of pain and tenderness in that moment. It felt like watching a part of Lily heal that I didn't even know was broken. But then Richard turned to me. My turn. He looked at me for a long time before speaking. "You look just like your mother." I wanted to flinch at the mention of her, my mother, the one who'd kept his existence a secret my whole life. "I didn't even know you existed until recently," he said. "Your mom and I, it was complicated. We met during a rough patch in her marriage. She told me later she was pregnant, but then she disappeared. I tried to find her, but she didn't want to be found." He slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a faded photo of him and my mom, laughing, young, carefree. "I'm not here to ruin your life," he said quietly. "I just wanted to see the man you became." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to shout, "You don't get to want anything." Another part wanted to ask every question I'd been carrying for months. Did you ever think about me? Do you regret not trying harder? But instead, I just said, "You missed a lot." He nodded. "I know." Aftermath. The rest of the lunch was a blur of awkward small talk and forced smiles. When we finally left, Lily and I stood by our cars, both silent. "That was a lot," she said. "Yeah," I muttered. "I feel like I just met two ghosts." She laughed softly through her tears. "At least they're human ghosts." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what Richard said, about my mother disappearing. I confronted her a week later. Confronting Mom again. She didn't deny it this time. "I didn't want to lose your father," she said. "I knew if I told him, he'd leave. And he almost did anyway." I looked around the house, the same one I'd grown up in, and realized how small it suddenly felt. "So you built a family on lies," I said. "You raised us pretending everything was perfect, while hiding half of who we are." She broke down crying. "I thought I was protecting you. But I didn't feel protected. I felt stolen." Rebuilding with Lily. In the months that followed, Lily and I started talking more again. Maybe it was shared pain, or maybe we just missed each other. She started therapy and invited me to join one session. I went reluctantly, but it helped more than I expected. The therapist said something that stuck with me. "You both lost the family you thought you had, but you didn't lose each other." And she was right. Despite everything, the lies, the anger, the secrets, Lily was still my sister. Not by blood, but by every moment that mattered. We started visiting each other every month. One night, while sitting on her apartment balcony watching fireworks from a distance, she said, "Maybe that's what Independence Day means for us now. Not freedom from people, but freedom from lies." The letters. A few weeks later, I got a package in the mail. It was from Richard. Inside were a few letters, things he said he'd written but never sent over the years, hoping someday he might find me. They weren't perfect. Some were raw, others rambling, full of guilt and longing. But one line in the last letter hit me hard. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you find peace in knowing that you were always wanted, even by someone you never knew." I cried for the first time in months. A new kind of family. This past 4th of July, Lily and I went to the lake again, just like when we were kids. We didn't go to our parents' house. We brought our own food, our own fireworks, our own peace. At one point, Lily looked at me and said, "Do you ever wish we could go back?" Before everything. I thought about it. About all the pain, the lies, the tears, and about how, somehow, we'd both survived it. "No," I said finally. "Because at least now, everything's real." She smiled. "Yeah. Finally." We lit our sparklers and watched them burn down, the light flickering in our hands like the last remnants of an old life. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. 3 years after that life-changing Independence Day, I thought everything had finally settled. Lily and I were closer than ever, not by blood, but by choice. Or so we thought. Then, out of nowhere, my biological father, Richard, called. His voice was weak. He told me he was dying and needed to confess something. He said he'd once dated Lily's biological mother, Angela, years before either of us were born. They'd broken up, but not before one last night together. I didn't want to believe it. But we took another DNA test just to be sure. The results confirmed it. Lily and I shared 26.8% DNA. We were half-siblings. After all the lies and pain, we'd come full circle. The sister I thought I'd lost wasn't fake after all, she truly was my sister, in every possible way. When Richard passed, Lily stood beside me at his funeral. We didn't cry over the lies anymore. We cried because, against all odds, we still had each other. This 4th of July, sitting by the lake again, Lily said, maybe everything had to fall apart so we could finally see what was real. And she was right. Because in the end, blood didn't make us family, but truth did. A year after discovering the truth about our blood relation, Lily and I thought we had finally closed the chapter on our tangled family. We had rebuilt our bond, accepted our past, and even started visiting both our biological families separately, cautiously, carefully. Then came a letter, handwritten, with no return address. Inside was a single sentence. "You're not the only child." My heart sank. Lily and I stared at each other, speechless. The letter was from someone claiming to be the child of Angela, Lily's biological mother, someone who had been given up for adoption before Lily was born. This person had been searching for their family for years and somehow tracked us down. We arranged a meeting at a small cafe. A young woman, about our age, nervously approached. Her eyes were strikingly similar to Lily's, and mine, too. She introduced herself as Ava. The resemblance was uncanny. And when she spoke about her childhood, the pain and longing mirrored what Lily and I had felt for years, abandoned, unknown, searching for a sense of belonging. For the first time, I realized the story of our family wasn't over. There was a new layer, a new challenge, integrating someone we'd never known into the fragile structure of our lives. That day, sitting together in that cafe, I understood something crucial: family isn't just what we're given, or what's hidden in secrets. Family is what we choose to embrace, even when the past is messy, even when it hurts, and even when it comes with surprises. Ava reached across the table, her hand brushing mine. I think I finally found where I belong, she said. Lily smiled, tears in her eyes. Welcome home. And for the first time, the word home felt real again. After meeting Ava, life became a delicate balancing act. Lily, Ava, and I spent months learning how to be siblings all at once, sharing holidays, memories, and secrets. It wasn't easy. Old wounds sometimes resurfaced, and questions about the past lingered, but slowly, we built trust. We introduced Ava to Mom and Dad. The first meeting was awkward, filled with silence and hesitant smiles, but over time, laughter returned to the house. Even Richard's memory became a bridge rather than a wound, a reminder that love and mistakes often coexist. That Independence Day, the three of us sat by the lake with sparklers in hand. No lies. No secrets. Just family, messy, complicated, and real. Ava looked at us and said softly, I think this is the first time I've ever felt at home. And for the first time in years, I finally felt it too. We had lost so much to secrets and lies, but in the end, we found something stronger, each other.